are back in the studio. My name is Vince Ainger, excuse me, and Sue Frankie is in the studio, lead social worker. Sue's going to talk, I think, about falls and fall prevention.
Yes.
Huge problem, it seems to me. Big
It
deal.
is. Well, falling is always something that could possibly happen. So there are many things that one can do to help prevent those falls.
I think do happen, it seems to me.
They do happen, and sometimes no matter what you do, they still happen. But there are many, many things that you can do to help yourself in preventing them. So it's being proactive rather than trying to be reactive. And I think one of the things I wanted to talk about, there's two things that I wanted to touch on today. One being that we're in the summer season now, is that many people may be traveling. So how to be vigilant and aware of some of the things that you can do to help prevent falls while you're traveling. I think one of the things to remember is that anytime you leave your apartment and go outside of Green Spring, you are changing your patterns and habits, your daily routine. So it may be that you get more tired. It may also be that you're not drinking enough. Let's say you're traveling, you're going to the airport. You may not think about drinking water or a beverage of any sort in the same way that you do when you're here at Green Spring and in your apartment. And both getting overly tired and then dehydrated can both put you at great risk for falls. So it's knowing that when you travel that you have to be aware of your body. And ultimately, as we get older, our bodies don't sense the thirst in the same way it did when we were younger. So we may need liquid, we may need water, and our body isn't saying you're thirsty. So sometimes it's just knowing rather than actually feeling that you're thirsty.
Yeah, if you're traveling, you go into a different environment, maybe one that, excuse me, maybe one you've never experienced before. It's kind of strange. It seemed to me earlier in the year there were a lot of people going down, including a couple of our own hosts here, doing a lot of damage to themselves. So this is good information,
And I think for any resident here that feels a little unsteady when you get to the airport, they have many wheelchairs and porters that are willing to take you from one area to the other in either those motorized vehicles or in a wheelchair. And it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to say, you know, I am taking care of myself, and this is a way for me to be able to safely travel. And then when you get to your destination, it may be a hotel or somebody's home, to understand what may be putting you at risk there. I think one of the biggest things is light. So you want to make sure, one good thing to do is make sure you take a flashlight with you no matter where you go, and then possibly even a night light to put in the bathroom or to put somewhere so that you have more light. And that is something that's very important in your apartment too. As we age, just like with the thirst, our eyes let in less light. So you need more light to be able to see your surroundings. And so that's why having that flashlight and having a night light is very important. And then also, let's say in a hotel room or somebody's room in a home, you may have a suitcase on the floor and you may not quite know where to put the dirty clothes. And so you want to make sure that you always have a clear path. And that clear path usually should be between the bed and the bathroom. So really being, when you get ready for bed, is being vigilant about making sure that that path is clear. The other thing that has really tripped up, not to pun about it, residents, is when they've gone away, and especially staying in families' homes, sometimes they're on the second floor. And we're not used to being upstairs anymore. We're used to being all one level, and people have inadvertently then had accidents with those steps, either in the middle of the night, just forgetting that they were there, or even, let's say, in the morning, just not having that sure footing. So it's really, in terms of traveling, knowing your surroundings, being even more careful than you normally would be here at Green Spring.
Yeah. I have flashlights. The batteries are dead. I don't have a night light, which certainly I should put it in the bathroom. And you were making the point, do not be ashamed to ask for help. See, I spent most of my life thinking I was a tough guy. What a mistake that is.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Or that it won't happen to me.
Yeah, well, this recent hospitalization on my part, I have an acute awareness of just how fragile my life is. Yeah, so these are things that happen to other people. That's right.
Yes. And even in terms of talking about lighting in our apartments, now there are some amazing gadgets out there. They have motion-activated lights, so you could put one of those in a bathroom, or a lot of the apartments here, you actually go through a closet to get to your bathroom. So to maybe put one of those motion censored lights to go from one area to the other, especially in the middle of the night.
Now, if I wanted one of those, what would I do? Would I call General Services, or
Well, I think
they'd refer me?
Yeah, I think
to
something like that. You would go to Home Depot,
sure.
or you could ask a family member.
Yeah,
Amazon.com has a number of, just a plethora of wonderful gadgets that you can research, or have family research for you that would be helpful. So there's a lot out there that could be very helpful, and I think it's keeping those clear pathways.
Yep.
And we've talked about this before. Sometimes those rugs on top of rugs can be a problem, or even in a living room, a coffee table. We grew up with the idea that we needed to have a coffee table in front of the couch, but as you get to having walkers or even a cane, that gets to be a little bit more problemsome. So looking at those different items and saying, do I really need that? Is there something else I could do to handle the papers or the magazines that I have there that might be safer for me in my apartment? Because you need to keep yourself safe rather than so much thinking about the aesthetic part of it.
Yeah, there are some things that I really should do. Mary Ann's side, my wife Mary Ann, her side of the bed was closest to the bathroom. Well, I haven't touched her side of the bed, and it's been over 3 years. And for safety reasons, I should just move closer to the other side of the bed, so I'm closer. I also have piles of stuff all over the apartment, a lot of it on the floor, piles of paper and old reports and things like that. So all of this is good stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And one of our tips for July really has to do with clearing debris, and just taking that time, or getting somebody to come and help you sort through it, and just take one paper after another. Do you need this? No. And sometimes it's just the act of getting started that can be very helpful, because those, as they pile up, it becomes the feeling of an undaunting task until you start.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I experience. I have several different piles. Now, what they used to say about potholes in New York City, the Department of Public Works would come out every once in a while, and they would move them. They never fixed them, they just moved them. And I do that. I rearrange my piles. So we're getting down to the end here, and we've got a couple of minutes, I guess. Any further thoughts that you have before we close out?
Well, I think that it's important to be vigilant. It's important to understand what could put you at risk for falls, and to do everything that you can do to help prevent. So if you need an assistive device, especially outside of the community, use it. A cane, a walker for stability. It's important to make sure that you take care of yourself. And then also, if you do have a fall, that you make sure that you let your doctor know. It's very, very important for your doctor to know so that they can help. We do have physical therapy here that may be able to help strengthen, may be able to help with your gait, the way you walk that has changed just slightly. So it's important that you are upfront about that and not be ashamed. Use it as how can I get the help so that it doesn't happen again for me.
If you fall, even if you don't get hurt, you should tell somebody about it.
You should.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because there may be something underlying that you don't
Sure.
recognize
Absolutely.
that somebody else could.
Yeah, it used to be that I could walk at a fairly good clip, and I could look around and enjoy the scenery and call out to people and so on, and I can't do that any longer. I will sense some dizziness, and I have to stop, look ahead to see what I'm doing, and then I can start again. So, listen, this is good stuff. And
It is.
yeah, so I'm glad you came. It's good to see you. And we've got some announcements to make here.